The EPA does not do fuel economy testing on heavy-duty trucks, but luckily, Daily Motor does. This is Chris here with Daily Motor, and today we've got the real-world highway fuel economy test on the 2024 Chevy Silverado 2500 High Country. Before we get started, let's hop out and take a look at it. So, as you can hear from this thing idling, this is equipped with the Duramax 6.6 liter V8, so we'll be doing some diesel testing today. Otherwise, this thing's been awesome to live with for the last couple of days. I love when we have big trucks like this because not often do I get to spend time in vehicles of this nature. So it's been a fun couple of days so far. I've liked driving this thing around to the park to go for a run and just being very obtuse and whatever else. But anyways, today we are here to find out how efficient this big truck is, because people use these to go on long distance trips, to tow things. Of course, we're not towing today, but lots and lots of miles get put on these big heavy duty trucks. So how efficient will this big guy be? Well, today we're going to find out. And if you want to learn more about this Silverado 2500, make sure you check the link in the description. That will take you to all of our other videos on this heavy duty truck. So why do we perform this test? Well, normally the EPA rates cars on the highway, but they don't do heavy duty trucks. And normally I'd go on this big spiel about, oh, well, the EPA only rates at 48 miles per hour, which is their traditional test. But, well, since I have nothing to compare it to, I guess I won't say that today. But what you do need to know is that we're going to be going out 50 miles and back 50 miles, averaging 70 miles per hour to get a real world highway figure for this truck. I'm stumbling because I have this like muscle memory of what I usually say on these fuel economy tests. But yes, 100 miles round trip on the highway in this heavy duty Chevy to see how efficient it will be. A couple of things worth noting for today's test: outside temperature is 73 degrees Fahrenheit. We're also going to be running the climate control inside the cabin at 73 degrees auto. Tire pressures have been set to their factory door placard indicated 60 PSI front and 70 PSI rear cold. And we'll be using the same gas pump both times, using the same 3-click filling method to get the most accurate results possible. I also want to mention, holy crap, they've repaved this road. If you watch these tests, you know that this road used to be a minefield, and it's so smooth now. Okay, anyways, what I wanted to mention is that we have run a test before on a very similar truck, except it was a GMC, but otherwise pretty much the same. But that was during winter, and Charlie was able to manage 20 MPG. So I'll be curious to see how, in very ideal conditions, 73 degrees outside, I'll be curious to see how this thing does. I'm expecting maybe 22? I don't know. My hopes are up. Anyways, though, let's pull up here, let's hop out, grab our first fill. Just about 15 gallons going in there for our first fill. Quite a large tank here in the Silverado. But anyways, let's go ahead and get started. Climate control is set to 73 degrees auto and is blowing super hard for some reason. I don't quite understand that, considering the fact that it is 73 degrees outside, but I guess it thinks that it needs to heat the cabin up. Also, trip is reset, so we'll be able to track what sort of gas mileage the car thinks we're getting. So, 3 different drive modes here on this Silverado 2500. We have normal, tow haul, and off-road. So today we're going to be running in normal mode. It just keeps getting louder and louder. Okay, well, the highway's about a half mile away. I will catch up with you all once I am merging on. Now, the purpose of this test is not to hypermile. I'm simply going to merge onto the freeway, set the cruise control to a GPS indicated 72 miles per hour, and just drive like any normal person would. I'm not going to be doing any sort of drafting or purposely economical driving, just going to drive like I'm dad on a road trip. Now, we're going to get safely merged on here. I'm going to use that low-end torque here to get us up to speed. And then we will go ahead and set our cruise control. Sometimes GM cruise controls are a little bit confusing. We'll see how this one reads here. Just got that set to 73. Looks like 73 on the cluster. Is equating to 72. For a second, it was 72. Okay. Looks like we're going to need to figure out what speed to set that at. Anyways, in the meantime, oh, look at that. We do have adaptive cruise control. That's great. Okay. Sometimes with these, you have to hold and set which mode you want the truck or car to drive in. So, cool. Okay, well, how is this thing under first highway impressions? Well, it's quite nice. I'm quite cozy in here, and wind intrusion is not so bad either. It's squaring up to be a nice experience here in the Silverado 2500. So, oh, also the Bose sound system is quite nice. I've been enjoying that. It's only 7 speakers, but it is mighty. So that goes to show that you don't need a bazillion speakers to have a good sound system. Anyways, though, I'm going to go ahead and get settled in here in the Silverado 2500 High Country Duramax. And I'll catch up with you all once I am towards the end of my journey. Wrapping up our drive here in the Silverado 2500, and indicated on the cluster just over 20 MPG, so pretty close to what I was expecting and pretty consistent with what Charlie got on the GMC he tested about 2 years ago. So how's this thing been on the highway? Well, it's been super nice. The only things that I will note is that I made a mistake in the intro saying that this truck had adaptive cruise control when it does not. It just has gap adjustment for forward braking if you almost crash into somebody. So I don't really know what the purpose of that is. It's just like they needed to fill a switch on the steering wheel. Otherwise, the ride is quite bouncy because, of course, big trucks like this are meant to tow. They're meant to do work. They're meant to be loaded up. And since this thing is empty, it does ride a bit rough and bounce around. But honestly, otherwise, it's been really nice. I don't really have any other complaints about this truck. I love the new infotainment they have in these heavy-duty trucks for 2024. Of course, we saw this screen last year with the 1500 series trucks. But it's nice to see it now integrated into here. The Bose sound system is great. Actual NVH, if you disregard the bouncy ride, it's quite quiet, wind and tire wise. And I mean, overall, it's been good. So we'll have to see how this thing actually did. I'm expecting it to read out on the pump pretty consistently with this, with the cluster. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab my final fill this evening, and I'll catch up with you all once I have brimmed the tank on the Silverado 2500. 4.925 gallons of diesel going in there for our final fill. Let's put this up, hop in, see how we did. Today's trip was 98.09 miles. We'll go ahead and divide that by the 4.925 gallons of diesel that we put into this Silverado 2500. And that gives us 19.9 MPG, of course, rounding up there to an even 20, which is very consistent with what we had on our readout. So, interesting to see that our number was exactly the same running in winter and in summer. So, do what you will with that information. But here today in the 24 Silverado 2500 Duramax, 20 MPG. And honestly, even though this seems like a bit of a low number, 20 MPG for this absolutely massive truck with this big diesel engine, I don't think this is too bad of a figure across the board. Okay, so now let's go ahead and multiply this by 36, as that is our fuel tank capacity, and that gives you an effective highway cruising range of 710 miles. So you can go quite a ways on the highway with this big truck, which is, of course, convenient for if you are towing. Of course, this number won't be as high if you have a big 20,000-pound trailer behind you or something like that. But what I will say is that Charlie used this to tow a car and an ATV last weekend, and he was getting about 15. So again, do with that information what you will. But in today's test, 20 MPG, 710 miles of effective highway cruising range. Again, if you want to learn more about this Chevy Silverado, make sure you check the links in the description. That will lead you to all of our other videos on it. But as for today, that will wrap it up for us. Thank you all so much for watching. This has been Chris here with Daily Motor, and as always, drive on.